Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary. Pour a cheerful toast and fill it, happy anniversary. But be careful you don't spill it, happy anniversary. Oh, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary.
Hello everyone and welcome to the 34th episode of Sonic Boom. This is our Sonic Boomiversary. We're celebrating the 1-year anniversary of Sonic Boom as a thing, basically, as a cartoon, game,
as
comic,
a theme song to Sonic CD
thing. Right. And the series officially started on November 8th of last year, 2014, and it looks like the first season will be wrapping up almost at the same time in mid-November with episode 52, which Shadow is making an appearance in, from what I understand. So basically we'll be discussing that. We got a whole mess of news, and we'll be talking about a few more things. And with me tonight, I got, as you heard earlier, my fuzzy puppy buddy, GX.
I have all the hats. I believe strongly in putting hats on dogs.
It does increase their cuteness.
And with us tonight is a special guest from the Spin Dash, the evil Dr. Reef.
Hi.
Hello. All right, so I don't know what you guys have been up to lately. This weekend I got the Yoshi's Woolly World, and I've been playing that quite a bit, and pretty much putting my amiibo collection into little Yoshi's and seeing what comes up. I got the one that comes with the Woolly Yoshi amiibo, because that's the only way you can get the green amiibo right now, it seems like. The rest are all blue and pink. And that thing is actually a detriment in the game, because what it does is it adds a second Yoshi to the game, and you have to control both at the same time.
It's effectively your double cherry.
Yeah, basically. But that doesn't always work out that well, because you end up fighting with each other in kind of an odd way. You can accidentally eat the other Yoshi.
Accidentally.
You can nudge each other off the edge of the screen and what have you.
Let's be honest, though. Is it still any worse than having a human second player?
Well, kind of, because at least it's not accidental. It's on purpose then. But other than that, I mean, the game is just adorable, very relaxing. I don't know how you feel about the music, but I found the music's extremely soothing in this game.
Good feel music is always top notch. Like, if you look back at Wario Land Shake It, that had a fantastic soundtrack. Kirby's Epic Yarn, just amazing music in that game. I have the best possible track record with Good Feel. They just pump out game after game of just great, distinct takes on standard Nintendo games, even if they're kind of fitting in the standard Nintendo formula for those games.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah, I mean, this one's got some stuff that I'm kind of humming along to at the same time, even though it's very mild. But I mean, it just keeps you in this really cool, calm state pretty much the whole time you're playing. Plus the fact that it's not very hard to get through.
Well, even then, the old Yoshi game wasn't especially hard. It was just trying to explore the whole levels and find every bit of a secret. That was the hard part. And even then, I'd say I'm still in the first world right now, and there's a few levels where it's like, I thought I looked everywhere here. Why am I still missing a flower?
Yeah, I know how you feel on that. That's the only challenge, really, is trying to find everything. Outside of that, if you're just playing it straight through, you're not going to.
But I mean, that's been true since the dawn of time.
Anyway, so what have you been up to, GX?
I've been playing this fantastic little game called Yoshi's Woolly World. Perhaps you've heard of it. I
think I've heard of it. Yeah.
But beyond that, I haven't gotten too far in it, but I have scanned in all my amiibo thus far, thus justifying them yet further. I honestly, like, a lot of the styles in it, even if you have no amiibo, that game still gives you a lot of just customization options. Like, you can just unlock skins for Yoshi just playing through the game. So,
yeah, because each Yoshi has been transformed into a whole bunch of different little balls of yarn. If you collect all of them in a level, you get that Yoshi to play around with.
I don't approve of the way that you phrase that, but sure.
Well, I mean, they've been turned into little balls of yarn, and they collect 5 balls of yarn.
I am saying, I don't really want to play around with my Yoshis. I respect them as friends.
I mean, you could change into them. But
beyond that, I spent all of yesterday catching up on just cartoons. I started by watching the new Scooby-Doo series, Be Cool Scooby-Doo. I caught a little bit earlier on. It's a don't let the visuals dissuade you too much, because it is a bizarrely fun, dumb show in terms of cartoons. Like, it kind of has that Disney Channel modern day self-awareness to it, but for some reason having Scooby-Doo in it.
I just find the Family Guy art style they're going with kind of a turnoff.
It is, but the more I kind of looked at it, to me it kind of looks less like Family Guy kind of stuff anymore, and now it just kind of comes off more as Phineas and Ferb background character art style.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that clip you sent me, and I imagine that at some point I'll probably try to track down more of it. It seems fairly non-standard as far as the Scooby-Doo formula goes, and I enjoy ones that are kind of different than what they've been sending us out the last couple of years. So, as far as the art style goes, it doesn't really bother me all that much. So, take it for what it is, really.
It's something to get used to.
Yeah.
Then I watched all of the Sonic Boom episodes that I was missing, which basically I think is, I'm going to say, about 2/3 of everything that's out so far.
Whoa.
Yeah, I marathoned that series. And I guess if we're not going to talk too much about the series as it's been itself, I feel like in terms of visuals, it's gotten a lot better from where it was at the beginning of the series. At the beginning of the series, there were just the way the character movement was established was not very good at all. But
yeah, I mean, I've already noticed a huge jump in animation quality, so I can definitely see where you're coming from on that one.
Sometimes it depends on who's doing the story, or whether they want to have a big enough budget for that episode. So I noticed you can tell when some episodes have a big budget, the animation actually gets much better, and then you can tell when some are a little bit of a lower budget.
For me, I kind of see it as, in some of the better animated ones, they just don't seem to stretch into the places that are their obvious weaknesses. Like, a lot of the combat doesn't necessarily work too great. You never get a good sense of impact whenever characters are fighting characters.
Yeah, that's true.
But it just seems like they go for different things now, that they kind of structure things differently. I know there's definitely a greater sense of just like comedic fighting, or honestly, this is becoming a bizarrely self-aware show. Like,
yeah,
right.
It kind of started that way, but then...
Oh, yeah, it's always been self-aware. I mean, even
it's always been self-aware, but this is even more... Like, this is...
Yeah, because I know that in a recent episode, they were making jokes about the formulaic episodes, and, like, it was like, oh, isn't this normally the thing that happens? And there was one where they were all sitting around a table recently. I think it was the one with the puppy RPG thing. And they were like, nothing's going on this week. And Styx was like, how do you know something's not going on? Maybe just somewhere else. And then I think it was either Tails or Sonic that was like, well, because usually when something happens, we're involved. So it's becoming very self-aware, and I really like it.
That's how they figured out that there's something going on with Amy.
But yes, it is It is good. It continues to be good. It doesn't continue to be great, but it is still worth a lot of laughs.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not always the best show, but I mean, even the worst episode has at least one funny moment, really funny
Yeah.
moment.
if you are a Sonic fan, you could do a lot worse, and you probably have done a lot worse.
Yeah.
Now, this is easily my favorite or second favorite show of the series, but I guess we'll talk about that more a little on. Reef, is there anything you wanted to mention that you've been doing this week?
I've been trying to get into the new Rock Band 4. It's definitely a very pretty game. I feel like it's been stripped down in terms of functionality, though, especially character creation. So there are a lot of things that kind of disappoint me right out of the box, but I guess there's going to be a really big free update in December, so I guess we'll just wait and see how that ends up going. But other than that, I mean, it's Rock Band except on the Xbox One, so there's really not a whole lot other to say about it.
So I'm guessing the character creation stuff is actually a step down, because I felt like 3 was a step down from 2.
Mm-hmm.
And would this be like a step down from 3 or just on par?
It's a big step down from 3, actually. And I'm thinking that that's going to be part of the big free update, is they're going to add some more character stuff, because I heard that they wanted to do that, but they were running up against deadlines, and they figured that was the least important of the things to do, which is fair. But even now, though, they're having some rather large issues with their DLC store. There are things that I have purchased that are not like there for me to get. And over the last week or so, every day, a few more things have come on that I've bought that I can go and re-download. But some of the stuff, it still says, oh yeah, you could pay $1.99 to download this. And I'm like, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna wait till you fix this problem. So it's not been their most successful launch, but what are you gonna do?
So what system are you getting this on?
What's that?
What system did you get on?
I got it on the Xbox One.
Not only that, but you actually got an Xbox One to get this game.
Well, yeah. I would say it was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back.
DLC, right?
Yeah, because I didn't want to do the PS4 route because I had all the DLC from the other games. But, I mean, I was thinking about getting an Xbox One for a while, but I was like, okay, fine. There are enough games now that I can pretty much justify it, and I got it for pretty cheap, so I can't complain that much.
So I guess my follow-up would be, like, what else are you considering for the system?
Well, I'm kind of interested in a lot of the indie stuff, but I definitely got into Forza 6 pretty heavily right out of the gate because I don't know, I just like racing games sometimes, and I definitely think that Forza 6 is probably the best Forza game so far, and I really liked 4, so it's definitely a step up. And I usually don't care about graphics, but Forza 6 pretty much looks real, and I have to say that's impressive considering that it's, you know, still a fairly what would you say, like the console's not super strong. It's definitely not a made to build PC, but it's pretty. Forza 6 is very pretty.
Yeah, but Reef, it's using that infinite power of the cloud.
Well, I do like rain.
I can't wait until a couple years down the line, whenever we look back at this current generation where things do look as real as they do, and think, how'd we ever tolerate the way that looks?
Yeah. It's just teetering right on the edge of the uncanny valley, and it won't be long before that won't be as big of an issue.
I remember having that kind of sentiment whenever Smash Brothers Melee came out.
Oh, man. When people post videos from Melee and animated GIFs and stuff on Reddit, I'm like, how do people tolerate this? Because it's just so like
any old N64 game, you look back on it and it's just
they're so cubey.
Yeah, not only low poly, but the textures were extremely fuzzy.
Yeah.
Well, that was because they had no storage space for textures.
Right. Yeah.
It's impressive how far we've come in the last 10 years, I must say.
That's true. I mean, you look at something like I played if you go to GameStop, you can play the PS4 demo of Ratchet and Clank, and that thing looks almost as good as the CGI for the movie trailer.
Yeah.
Not quite, but I mean, it's getting pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah, next generation's going to be, I mean, it's going to be pushing it, although, I don't know. PC gaming is still one of those things where I feel like it should be better than it is already, but I guess because they're trying to port things between consoles and PCs, there's a certain level of not being able to do that, do things quite as effectively as they probably could be doing already.
You mean paying someone and actually giving them time to, let's say, I don't know, for example, try?
Well, there's that too. Yeah. I mean, I guess that release deadlines are one of those things. Although, I'm really interested in seeing the final build of No Man's Sky. That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah. And the way these generation going on that right now, it's the graphics are seeming to be less and less of an issue. I mean, you got a lot of indie games that are pretty much 8-bit nowadays.
Yeah.
And no one seems to care that much about that. One thing I noticed...
I'm just thinking in the
AAA sense, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm just thinking in the generality of, like, if you can get Forza 6 to look basically real, then there's still a ways to go on a lot of the other games that have come out on PC and on consoles. So it's not like it's a done deal yet with the graphics. But, again, I'm generally not a stickler for that. I don't care what a game looks like. I still go back and play NES games and Super Nintendo games. And yeah.
The only thing I find jarring is like the PS1 era now. You've tried to play some of those, and they just, it depends on the art style too.
Cloud's arms look. He's like Popeye.
Yeah. Well, Final Fantasy VII always had that odd look to it.
Yeah.
The only thing I can look back on and still looks kind of nice to me is like Crash Bandicoot maybe or something like that. But I mean, even I'm getting picky now. Even the Uncharted and Nathan Drake collection, I tried the demo of that. And I'm like, oh, we barely up-resed it. It doesn't look that impressive. And I want to slap myself in the face of saying that. Just because it gets spoiled now. The new generation looks...
Very true.
Jason's going to build him. Jason's holding out for the Nathan Drake PC collection where he can run it at 1,200 frames per second at 4K.
All right.
I feel like 1,200 frames per second is mildly excessive.
Well, just mildly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not great until your human eye can not only perceive the difference, but is so imperceptible that it's completely pointless.
Yeah.
Right. Like I got people who complain that they only get up to 60 frames a second on certain games and not 90 or 120 on PC. I'm like, you cannot tell the difference. I play on just 60 all the time because my eyes can't perceive anything higher than that, really. Anyway, we've been going off the rails a bit, which is what the beginning of the show is for. It's going off topic and that. So let's get on with the news. And
would you call this Sonic on rails?
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Surprisingly, for a year where we've been kind of low on Sonic games coming out, all of a sudden we got about 3 different Sonic games being published out in a month. And surprisingly, not the first one on the list, Sonic Lost World is moving from the Wii U onto Steam.
I'm surprised about that. I certainly wasn't expecting it.
No, I don't think
I didn't see that coming. Lost World to me seemed like it had practically no fanfare, so in a way it's kind of neat because maybe this will breathe some new life into it. Who knows?
Yeah, I've been happy with its response on forums and stuff. There hasn't been any real negativity or anyone dissing about, oh, here comes another crappy Sonic title on PC. People seem genuinely excited, and especially
that's
having
not
something like
entirely fair. Here comes an entirely mediocre Sonic experience on PC.
Right. Well, I mean, a new Sonic game on PC, which they haven't had for a while. I guess that's why there is some excitement there.
That requires releasing new Sonic games, which we're not doing this year.
That's for sure. I think a big part of it is also the modding community and seeing what they come out with.
They'll come out with stuff. I mean, if you absolutely want to see Professor Pickles running in Sonic Lost World, then just wait about 2 weeks.
If you want to see Robotnik running naked in Lost World, just wait 2 hours.
Well, just go on DeviantArt right now
or classic,
true.
Or classic Eggman shrinking his arms and legs down into his little ball chest and then running at full speed.
There aren't enough Waluigi Sonic mods yet.
I don't think I've seen a Waluigi Sonic mod yet.
0 is enough for me.
Well, that's because you don't have enough Thetans to appreciate it as much as I do.
Good point.
How many Mario Galaxy levels are they're probably going to mod out of this game? Can only imagine with that one. Anyway, two other games that have come out this week. I'll mention the first one, or actually in the last 2 weeks. Sonic 2 Classics have hit the 3DS. Mm-hmm. And it's
the M2 port.
Right, the M2
3D
port.
Versions.
And that is looking really good. I mean, I'm a little disappointed that it's only in 4.3 and they haven't changed it to 16:9, but
have they done that with any other others that aren't the arcade ones?
I think they did that with Streets of Rage, and I'd have to check. I think they did that with Sonic 1, but I might be wrong. But they have done widescreen on a few different games.
I think the rough part of that, though, is you don't entirely necessarily know how they cut things off in those games.
True.
Yeah.
Like based on just the way that if you've ever messed with the debug mode in Sonic 2, I think you can kind of start to see the way that they built levels. And that might be a situation where it could have screwed up the game if they did it a certain way. Especially, let's say, boss fights where it has a static background.
True. Yeah, it's kind of a tricky situation because they don't want to create extra work for themselves. So...
Yeah, I mean, I was a little disappointed because if you look at the Taxman, Sonic 2 port that's on out on the smartphones, the tablets, and that on mobile, that is widescreen, and also
that is also the thing is though that's also the game recreated on a completely different engine.
That's true. Like even the 3D bonus stage is completely different, where the track is fully polygonal the whole time and has a real solid frame rate during that part of the game.
I actually I picked up Sonic 2 3D.
Now that part I do like is the 3D depth during that in that little area.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It kind of highlights the flaws of those stages, but
yeah,
a little bit.
But I tried to play some of the Android port today. I have a new laptop, and I've been messing around with the idea of Android emulators because I frickin' hate the idea of not having a controller for a platformer. And I'm having a lot of trouble just getting it to work, but the presentation of it, everything surrounding of it, the extra features, in that version of the game, you can actually play as Knuckles as well. Like, it's Sonic 2, but they include the Sonic and Knuckles lock-on features for it. So it does kind of feel a little bit disappointing with the 3DS version that it is so tried and true, we'll say, with minimal extras. But at the same time, M2 is mostly a porting company, as we've seen them thus far, and they've done a lot of these Genesis things. I'm not entirely surprised that we aren't getting the crazy blown-out, full-featured Sonic 2 3D version. My biggest problem is, why don't we frickin' have the Android version of Sonic 2 on PC or consoles or anything?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
That's
It's like
that's a good point actually.
They did like Sonic CD, and then they kind of just stopped from there. I have no idea why Sonic 2 isn't on any PC or.
Well,
or
if you would let me
port.
put on my tinfoil hat for just a moment, it could be that they just want to try to separate these games through various markets. Like, oh, you have to buy this version this game on this console or this phone or this PC, and you have to buy this one on this one, and they just kind of split them up so that everyone's more enticed to buy the one thing they have available to them on that particular platform.
My kind of guess is actually that they just can't be bothered to care because they already have a version of Sonic 2 on it. They just don't want to. I feel like they wouldn't see the type of return that they would want by saying, "Oh, here's Sonic 2 Plus." Well, I already own Sonic 2 on this thing. Why would I buy it again?
Yeah, I think you might be onto something there. That's the thing. Like, Sonic is the kind of game where it's very unlikely that people would go through the rebuying. And I mean, there are a lot of different games where people would go through and rebuy stuff, but I think you might be right about Sonic in this particular case.
Yeah. Plus, in Japan, they do these M2, Sega's collections onto a cartridge. So I think they just they don't want to just do a Taxman port, but instead just port the old one so it's them doing it all for one collection.
Well, that, and I mean, I'm just saying. It's not likely that they were going to port that specific version to 3DS because he didn't really build that engine on top of a 3D engine. And like I said, what little we know about those games is that they are built on a completely different engine with the elements of Sonic CD and Sonic 2 layered on top of them. This is more of a situation where I'm almost certain that M2 has some sort of working specialized 3D Genesis engine that they've gotten to work with 3DS, and they're just having to tweak it and specifically note, well, this thing's going to be in this layer for this game. Let's make sure every little bit of it is perfect. Like, it's kind of the difference between Western porting and emulation philosophy versus Eastern. I'm pretty sure M2 is a Japanese company.
Yes.
Japanese emulation houses typically have a greater focus on perfecting the original thing. That's why you see such an emphasis on it with Nintendo's ports on Virtual Console. Also because most of them are done by M2. Whereas I've seen Western emulation companies focus more on, well, what are the extra features that we can put in this? How can we change things? How can we make it different? How can we make it more?
I agree with you on that. Anyway, I'll get off on that one. On our third Sonic...
Jason, for the love of God, please don't get off on that one.
You know what I mean. To change the subject onto another Sonic game. We have a Sonic Dash 2 Sonic Boom just released on mobile. And mobile on iOS 2 weeks ago and Android this week. And it was on soft launch back in, I think, July for certain countries, but it's finally hitting the Western and European markets this week. I noticed a few differences here and there, like there's less chance of getting red rings outside of event modes and that, and they smartly switched the prices between Tails and Sticks. Sticks was originally the most expensive at 70 coins, and Tails was 50, and now Tails is the most expensive because he's the one that comes with an extra continue added to him.
Ah.
So
I thought you were going to say it's because he's popular.
No, I think that's a strategy thing.
I'm guessing you got it, Jason.
Yeah, I've been playing it a fair bit, not a whole lot, because I got my fill of the last one once I got all the characters. It got a pretty good game engine to it. It's a little bit more quicker pace than the original Sonic Dash. I like the option of picking between 3 characters anytime when you're in the middle of the game, you go into this cave and then you can switch characters if you want to. It has what's called sprites, which are basically chows that give you extra powers and abilities. And you can spend red rings to earn more, not to earn more chows, but so you can add, instead of just one chow to an event, you can add 2 or 3.
I started it today. I started playing it, and as I'm going, I kind of see it as, yeah, this is definitively better, but I kind of don't care because I've played I feel like I've gotten my fill of Sonic Dash.
Yeah, it's part of its problem. Plus, there's only 2 environments, and you just keep switching back and forth between these 2 environments.
Well,
over and over and over again.
Let's be fair. Sonic Boom wasn't, or I'm sorry, not Sonic Boom. Sonic Dash 1 wasn't all that much better. It had a little bit more, but
I think it
wasn't
has
that much.
3. I think it had 3 environments.
I mean, two environments versus 3 environments. Hold the phone.
Well, also it just felt like larger and wider, where this one feels like more narrow and zoomed in. It's kind of hard to explain. Plus, you're playing a game at 30 frames per second because it has more detail versus 60 frames. I do like the breakup of the one power-up you find on the ground that shoots you into the sky and you're hanging off your ender beam, and you have to actually then tilt the smartphone to collect all the rings and orbs. And that's a nice little change of pace. But otherwise, it just feels like the same thing over and over and over again. Plus, the music is the exact same tune over and over again, and it's too hyper of a song, I think, and it just plays pretty much its chorus bit over and over again.
I think it's a situation where if you haven't played any Sonic Dash, then it would probably be fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've played a lot of Sonic Dash thus far, then it's a nicer version of that. It's like the one thing that I actually like a bit more about it is the more you play Sonic Dash, the more you kind of see, well, they're just kind of stringing together set pieces. Like, here's this chunk, here's this chunk, here's this chunk all put together, and it's very identifiable as you go forward, and it gets a kind of old that way. For this one, it feels a little bit more organic.
Yeah, one thing I do enjoy is that for a free-to-play game, it feels fair as far as both the microtransactions, and you don't have a limited set of lives. You can pretty much play, all day. They have one's a mission mode where you're just playing the regular version of the game, and then one is event, which happens for like an hour or 2 at certain times of the day, and that reward. The event one I think is the one that rewards you with more red rings.
It's not bad. It's just it is a mobile game, and it doesn't really escape being a mobile game. In fact, at least for a lot of you that might have upgraded to Windows 10, there's actually a version of Sonic Dash on the Microsoft Store.
Really?
That you can control just using a mouse and keyboard fine.
Interesting.
It's kind of disappointing that they don't offer that on at the Microsoft Store for this thing, but at the same time, you can say that about all games that are on mobile.
That's true.
Unless you have a very deep love for Angry Birds.
No, I think people are in general getting sick of Angry Birds. And of course, that's the perfect time to release a movie version of that.
Well, it's the perfect time to release a Sonic crossover for the original Sonic Dash.
Or a Sonic crossover with Angry Birds.
Yeah.
Which I just said, yes. That is a thing.
Which I know.
They have Angry Birds characters that you can unlock in the original Sonic Dash.
And Sonic, which you can unlock into an Angry Birds RPG thing, which I'm not even touching.
There's an Angry Birds RPG.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's like it's not regular Angry Birds. It's some kind of turn-based strategy thing, kind of, except more kid-friendly. I don't know what exactly it is.
Well, do you have to buy toys for it?
No.
Then it's still better than other attempts by them to freshen up their style.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean the kart racing game,
Yeah.
yeah. Also, while we're going with Sonic Boom, they had the European. I forget the exact name of it, but it was at the European licensing trade show. Let me try to get the information for that because I'm going to be a little more professional than that than just.
Oh, you don't have to do that.
It was at
just
the
because
brand
I'm
licensing.
here.
It was at the brand licensing expo in Europe, and they had some Sonic Boom stuff there. Basically, they finally announced that the second season of Sonic Boom will finally be happening.
And they're going to be Angry Birds.
No, but there is Angry Birds next to them in these expo pictures over on Sonic Stadium.
Of course there are.
Well, it's all the different licenses for kids-friendly shows and what have you all. One area. You've got a picture.
Kid-friendly shows.
Yeah, all British basically. They got one picture. We got the entire crew there, and you got Sonic next to like Bob the Builder and Bart Simpson and
Bob the Builder.
The Teletubbies. I think it's Bob the Builder.
Teletubbies.
Yeah, they're still doing the Teletubbies in Europe.
Yeah, but I mean, are these even still like relevant? I thought they'd stop making the Teletubbies like 10 years ago.
That's what I thought, but they're in that picture. But two other costumes which really showing that they are not, shying away from Sonic Boom anytime soon as far as Sega is concerned is they have besides having the Sonic Boom costume, which they've had for 6 or 7 months now, they have a Tails Sonic Boom costume and an Amy costume as well. And I think it's the first time they've ever released a Amy costume into the wild. And I haven't seen a Tails costume at any Sega events in forever.
Huh, interesting.
So that's definitely interesting. I think they're still really pushing Sonic Boom pretty hard, so
well, I'm really glad that the TV series got renewed because honestly it's a lot better than I think. Well, it's a lot better than I expected for starters, but it's also a lot better than I think most people give it credit for.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a certain type of show. The only thing I would say is it's unfortunate that there's no Knuckles costume yet, although I imagine there would have to be just one single person that is hiding snuck up into the chest. Like, that is not a one-person costume.
I can imagine or on stilts or something.
I'm a little disappointed there's no Sticks stuff.
Yeah.
Like for her being the original character in the show, there seems to be a distinct lack of representation for her.
Yeah, I think if they were going to really, push the show, I think they should have forgot about Amy and just went with the Sticks costume instead.
There's probably
I think part of it is brain recognition, though, because I mean, we all know who Knuckles or not Knuckles, Tails and Amy are, so. They kind of get the large end of the stick, if you will. Yeah,
but I think Sticks is the main Boom as far as Sonic Boom goes, is the brand recognition. When you think of Sonic Boom, the main character who sticks out tends. Oh, God, I wasn't even meant to be a pun or anything. Is the Sticks?
I didn't even catch it. You shouldn't have pointed it out.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right objectively, but I think that as far as the I guess casual fan would go, a lot of them have probably already forgotten Sticks exists.
I guess the point is you don't have to know what Sonic Boom is to know the other three.
Yeah,
that's true.
Plus, let's be honest here. In terms of design, Amy is a much more feminine character, and I'm guessing to a point that's probably more directly marketable.
Yeah, but Amy doesn't believe in lizard people running the earth, so, I mean, how much can you really get out of her?
That's true. One thing I wanted to bring up that's also Sonic Boom related is we know Sonic Boom Fire and Ice got delayed till next year, but that didn't stop Carl's Jr.'s because, their promotion, they already had the contracts and everything, so...
And so Jason filled his arteries with clogging food.
I didn't even have to. They sell them individually. So I went ahead and just got all 4 of the toys available for 82 cents a pop.
Wow, that's not bad at all.
No. Just wanted to give it like a short review of these little things. It's definitely a better deal than you get from the Del Taco Rise of Lyric thing that they were having on last year, where it was just basically.
I ain't even got a
cardboard
Del
games.
Taco.
It was horrible. It's just these little cardboard cutout things. That's
Man,
trying to make
Sonic
a
Boom
weak
going
game.
for that real big brand recognition with Carl's Jr. and Del Taco.
Yeah,
I'm going to look it up because I don't know where the closest Del Taco to my house is.
well, Del Taco.
It's probably
they're not at
in
Del
a different
Taco
time
anymore.
zone.
This is now Carl's Jr.'s and Hardee's. If you're in East Coast, you're
No,
going to
I'm
Hardee's.
just curious.
If you're West Coast, you're Carl's Jr. like me. Basically, let's see, it's this Sonic little figurine. This is, well, they're all kind of this weak sauce. The first one is like the Sonic figurine, which is completely blue and metallic. And he put him on a little stand, and he basically looks like some kind of Oscar trophy. Only it's got wheels, and you can bring it around. The one everybody seemed to be thought would be the best one, the Sonic Boom Splash Ball. It's real small. It's like barely above the size of a golf ball. And
That definitely would make a size of splash. I mean,
a very tiny splash.
yes. Okay. Continue.
You absorb it up with water. But otherwise, it's cute for a little ball. I think it's baby friendly enough. You can chew on it without getting choked to death.
So here's the important question.
Here's your A+ review. If it doesn't choke you to death.
So here's my important question. How does it compare to the 1990s, I believe it was McDonald's set?
Oh, God, not even any comparison. That was a lot better set.
I still have
And
a
for cheesy
Knuckles
toys,
that is like on a cloud or something that spins around.
Yeah, like Knuckles is in a cloud, he spins. I think there's like Sonic with his feet engulfed in flames that you can eject. I think there's like a rollback Robotnik, and then I think Tails has like a helicopter thing on his back that you
yeah.
do
I have
for.
3 out of 4 of these.
Yeah, I had some of these. I have the Tails one. I remember you pull a little ripcord and then he flies up into the air.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I remember this?
I used to
Oh,
have,
why?
I used to have
You're
those.
obsessive.
I might still have them somewhere.
Hmm.
I just can't find them right now. The other thing is the inner beam wrist thing that they have. They have one of those, except
do
it
you
has
get a
a
real
little,
one of those?
No, just a little fake one with a little secret compartment.
Well, then why are you
It looks
wasting
good
my
for
time?
you. You can hide your pills when you're an old man like me. Yeah. It doesn't fit my wrist, but I imagine if I got 2 of them, I could make something out of it.
Jason,
but I'm not
Sonic fan and drug trafficker.
Not exactly going to be doing that anytime soon. The only really good toy out of this is actually the cheap little board game. Like I've been complaining before about the Del Taco thing, was just a board game, but this one's a bit nicer. It's a decent sized little board game, and you got 5 pieces. You can play as any of the 5 characters. You get a cheap little cardboard dice, which I would just throw away and get regular dice if you're gonna play this with anybody. And the other thing is, it's basically like your typical, you roll and you move a few spaces on the board thing. But if you hit like a ice or fire symbol, you pick out these cards from a random deck, and you get like +1 space for Amy, +2 for Tails, +3 for Knuckles. +4 if you're Sonic, and if you get Eggman, you have to go back 3 spaces.
And if you put on the bowler hat?
Then you win the game. There you go.
Nice.
I blame you.
I
blame Yu-Gi-Oh!
It does have I think it's 2 of the levels from the game mentioned. You go to either Cutthroat Island or Kodiak Frontier.
Okay.
Well, other than that, it's your typical little board game. You ain't going to get any kind of strategy, fuzzy puppy thing out of it.
So this becomes my question then. So I'm guessing then it's for the game that hasn't been released yet?
Yep, all of this is for Fire and Ice, a game which won't even be released for possibly months.
And at the same time, though, at least it kind of lines up with as the season's ending. Like, at the very least. And it sounds like none of the toys themselves go super strongly with what's going on in the game. Like, Sonic Boom hasn't proven itself to be a bastion of canonical consistency.
No,
like,
it's not really that focused.
It is a set of ideas and an art style.
Right. So you don't have to know anything about the game the kids, don't have to know anything about the game to enjoy the toys if they love Sonic Boom.
I don't know anything about the game.
Yeah.
I'll enjoy toys.
If you're a kid or if you're a fan of Sonic Boom, you might enjoy some of these little things.
Yeah.
Or if you got a really nerdy friend who wants to play a Sonic Boom board game, then there you go.
There's a Sonic Boom board game I want to play, but it's not that one.
Oh, what's that?
I'm waiting for someone to and knowing the Sonic fan base.
I already see where you're going with this, and I'm already gonna in talks with Sonic Revolution about maybe making this swag. Is you're thinking of Fuzzy Puppy, right?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Of course, they introduced the game. Someone on the internet's gonna create a rule set for it.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
That episode was fairly tightly written in that you could almost see where the actual game rules applied and everything.
Yeah.
It was actually written pretty well as far as that end goes. Only, of course, if you're gonna do that man-made, you can't afford to do like miniatures and stuff. I would have card size, like little puppies, and then the half card size for hats or whatever.
Reef,
Well,
you have access to a 3D printer.
Yeah, but I'm not going to be the one prototyping this thing.
Well, no, I mean, if you're giving it away at a convention, you'd want to just go with cardboard and card. You wouldn't want
I don't know.
to spend
Whenever you give
amounts of money.
Whenever you give out chunky swag at a convention, you get remembered.
This is something I got to talk with Aaron about, if there would be any legal problems if it wasn't something you purchased but give away.
Look, all I'm saying is that it's just going to take a letter writing campaign to Tomy. They already have the rights. They are already making the toys. I mean, it beats making the ugly figures that they release anymore. The poorly painted sticks and tails.
Oh, they had the new ones at my store today. The sticks with the camouflage that comes with Sonic.
Are they better painted?
No.
Okay.
Fact, of course, they look worse because they got splats on them. Like, she's got splats for camouflage, and Tails is the burned up, almost near-death Tails, has black on his eye and black marks all over him.
I believe that's called racist Tails.
I did purchase on Amazon the giant head Eggman plush that just recently came out.
Wait, there is a giant head Eggman plush.
Yeah, I will link you.
Why don't I own this? Why didn't you tell me?
I will link you to that.
I am holding you to that.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, that one is awesome. They do have a giant headed plush of Sonic as well, and I think they're doing one of Tails and Knuckles. And now you can hear me typing.
Oh, that is really cute.
That is why don't I own that?
Well, you will. It's got Prime shipping.
The Tails one is amazing.
They're all pretty cute, actually.
They are unfathomably cute.
Yeah, I had to get Eggman when I saw that one because Eggman's always been my fave.
And they look better than the Jazzwares attempts at plush.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give them that. I mean, even the big plushes of Sonic Boom have always been good so far.
Although, admittedly, Jazzwares, I will begrudgingly say, still did the actual plastic toys better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which isn't saying a whole heck of a lot.
Well, plus, they had the license to do any of the characters from the entire Sega franchise. So you got your Big the Cat and your Team Chaotix and Blaze and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
I have an odd question about this then in relation to Sonic Boom. Are you surprised or happy or disappointed that they've played the characters in it so conservatively?
What you mean in Sonic Boom?
Yeah, because Sonic has a billion characters, and Sega owns at least
2%
of them.
No, I don't think so. I think they should I think what they're doing right now is good, that they're just focusing on these, these 5 characters and Eggman, and not constantly bringing in other characters too much. So that's why I'm glad that Metal Sonic was only in 1 episode and Shadow's only going to be in 1 episode.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely enjoyed.
If they start doing Blaze and Silver and Big and all these other characters, I think it'd be a little too much.
I was going to say, I definitely enjoyed the lack of having to know, which characters go with which thing, and it's been nice. I think that it's a very simple. Actually, I would almost complain that the lack of different background characters is kind of weird, because it seems like the same 4 background characters are always there. But I think I'd prefer that over having too many characters, really. So
yeah, I think they got a decent sized amount of background characters as far as the villagers go.
I don't know, that Medburger guy is like in every episode.
Yeah, that I agree with. I actually am a big Fastidious Beaver fan, and I don't think he gets enough attention on the show myself.
Yeah.
I'm mostly asking for the just for the sake of it. I am honestly happy myself, but I was curious how you guys would react, because I know characters are always a huge sticking point whenever Sonic discussions come up.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of fans that want more of Shadow and Sonic Boom, and
I want more of Shadow and Sonic Boom. I just don't want it in the way that they will probably give me it.
Yeah, I don't want him in every episode. I don't care if he shows up once in a blue moon.
I want him in every episode if they use that as an opportunity to note, hey, Shadow's here. Let's make fun of him.
Yeah.
For 11 minutes.
I kind of almost feel like that's going to be what the case is. I don't... Because he doesn't quite fit tonally with the rest of that world at times. So.
The episode they're showing him, and he's pretty much himself. He's still really serious the entire time, it seems like. And, it doesn't really fit in with that comedy thing. That's one thing that was kind of disappointing about Metal in that episode. It wasn't me, it was the one-armed hedgehog, which nobody was one-armed in that. I don't even know why
it's a reference. It's a reference.
I know, but my idea was when I originally heard of this, I didn't realize what the subtitle was, and my subtitle was, it wasn't me, it was the blue-armed hedgehog. Which both of them have blue arms, and I thought that would have been a little funnier. But anyway.
I disagree, but you're welcome to your opinion.
The story was fairly light and humorous, but then all of a sudden it got dead serious when he showed up for a short time.
No, it didn't get dead serious.
Yeah, there was a fight scene, but it wasn't like super duper serious,
Well, I know, but I mean, there's nothing comical about him at all. Metal.
No, but at the same time, you can be comical with Shadow. How do you be comical with Metal Sonic? Metal Sonic is a robot that doesn't really talk.
Yeah. With Shadow, he can do Shadow face.
Like, the closest that you can do Metal Sonic, I think, is Sonic the Movie, and that's because that movie is very bad in the best possible way.
Yeah.
That's true. They do humor through just being not the best anime out there.
That said, it was also probably the best fight sequence in the entire series.
True.
Yeah, and I still love Boom better than, say, Sonic X or most of the other Sonic cartoons out there. Here's my question.
I like those cartoons more than I like Sonic X.
Here's my question. Sadam or Sonic Boom?
Sadam.
Yeah, Sadam. That's a dumb question, man. Come on.
I think that show, at least, like, whether or not you actually are getting more direct enjoyment from it or not, there is much more legacy to appreciate about Sadam. Partially,
it's got a lot more depth.
Partially because of the fact that it kind of lived on in the comic series.
Kind of.
Well, I mean, it's much different now than it was in that original interpretation.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, well, even now it's changed a lot. It's not really the Sadam. There's barely as much Sadam elements as there used to be anymore.
It is still very much so. I mean, they still have...
Well, I mean, they have the freedom fighters and what have you, but...
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the world has definitely changed somewhat, or a lot, actually. But, I mean, it's still the characters overall have not metamorphed that much.
That's true.
That said, I mean, Sonic Boom is still funnier than Saddam, and it wasn't for Saddam's attempt to try. It's just that Saddam wasn't especially a funny show.
No, to be honest, I couldn't stand Antoine half the time with his. Oh, it's so cowardly.
He is a character.
It got on my nerves after a while.
Well, no one really likes Antoine. I mean, nowadays, but not back then.
He was the interim Jeffrey St. John until we got someone to actually legitimately feel like he's a douchebag.
All right. That's true. So let's go on to talk about like the Sonic Boom anniversary here. I mean, it has been almost a year as of this recording. It's only October 18th, but that's like in 20 days. So it's close enough, you know. But now
you spent more time talking about how it's close enough than I spent caring about or fact checking.
Right.
So how many years did you say it was? 6, 7, 9, 12?
Right. It was about 3 years ago that me and GX were on this Sonic Talk, and along with Alex, and we were making predictions. I think it was in 2013 or 2014 about like Sonic the Hedgehog and stuff, and both
I might have been there for that.
Both you and me one of our predictions was there was going to be a cartoon within the next 1 or 2
I was
years.
There for that.
And
I didn't believe that.
I said that it was going to be CG. There was no way it was going to be 2D animated again.
Indeed.
And we were both
I
right.
was the wrong one there.
Of course, we found that out like 2 years ago when they produced the silhouettes of the Sonic Boom cast, and everyone freaked out about Knuckles. That was the...
A lot of people are still
biggest
freaking out about Knuckles.
Yeah, a lot of them still are. I mean, but at the end of the day, it feels like that's just a completely different Knuckles. You're not getting the same Knuckles in
Gee,
any
is
way,
it now?
sense, or form.
I couldn't tell.
And you're getting what is still a very enjoyable Knuckles, a very hilarious Knuckles.
Oh, he freaking makes the show. Let's be honest here. Between him and Eggman, without those two characters, the show wouldn't be worth watching at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Styx is pretty good, but I mean...
Styx is fine, but she's not Knuckles fine. She's not Eggman fine.
Yeah, Eggman's the man.
Styx has a shtick.
Ah.
Now I dare you to come up with a worse one than that.
We're coming up with stick puns either accidentally or on purpose.
That really stuck with me.
Right.
I still claim worst.
Yeah, I mean, Eggman totally makes the show when he's on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just
I say Knuckles.
I mean, Knuckles is definitely good. I just think Eggman is probably the
There's
big,
times
big
where
heavy hitter.
his stupidity just goes overboard for me, where he goes from funny to just he's just being stupid to be stupid.
But that's also the kind of stuff that I like. Like, you
Well,
have to understand where I'm coming from here. I am the type of guy who watches incredibly stupid things and enjoys characters that are more than a little bit stupid, and at least he is somewhat charming about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think my favorite Knuckles moment is the when they're trying to get their own chili sauce, and he goes into the field of baby ducks. And it's just one exploding fake duck after another, and he never gets the hint. He's like, "Oh, look at you! Aren't you cute?" And every single one blows up in his face. I mean, at first it wasn't that funny when it was 2 or 3, but then you get to like 10 or 15, and he's still going and still not getting the point.
Oh, there is a rule in comedy where something is funny, then it stops being funny.
And if you continue on, it gets even funnier. Yeah, I've heard that rule before too.
But my standout moment is definitely the Knuckles the Mayor episode.
That one was pretty good.
That was actually pretty amusing.
I mean, he's just not knowing what he's doing. He's just stamping everything and approving it, even approving a little drawing of himself he's doing, stamping everything.
I think that you can definitely see that the quality of this show, both in writing and animation, has gone up pretty dramatically, and I hope that season 2 brings along some more good stuff like this.
Yeah, it's always funny to see like Eggman having to deal with like the bureaucracy of the village and that as well.
Well, it's a weird situation where you have a supervillain that is effectively just another character, another member of society.
Yeah, that's such a weird thing too, because he's basically the village terrorist. He's always threatening to attack the village, yet he lives within their community. He gets their mail. He's being threatened to be evicted from his home if he doesn't like take the robots out or what have you. And it's just kind of like he said,
he's just like a 9-to-5 villain.
Yeah, he's even said that before.
It's a weird freaking relationship.
Yeah, I think one thing that this last episode nailed perfectly is like he defeats Tails and Knuckles is waiting for his turn, and they actually stop and go and punch out a time clock, and then go and Knuckles then goes and fights him after that. And it's just kind of like the old, if you've ever seen Sam and Ralph, the old Looney Tunes cartoons with the sheepdog and Wile E. Coyote is playing Coyote preying on the sheep, and they come in every morning, punch a time clock, and then go back to their jobs. And that's kind of what it is for them, I imagine.
Yeah.
It's just his role in the whole village is just to be the villain, and for Sonic and gang to just stop him.
The part of it that we kind of brought up in previous conversations that I've definitely been appreciative of is the fact that Sonic has not proven himself very much of a Gary Stu. That he kind of brings back that, Sonic's kind of a dick at times.
Oh yes, and in this episode, this previous episode, Designated Heroes, that's very much true. I mean, he's kind of a ass during the whole thing, and I think it's so some people on the forums are complaining. I thought it was wonderful because it reminds me more of his like Sad Am days where he was a total egotistical jerk the entire time.
I kind of think Sonic's at his best when he's an egotistical jerk.
Well, you kind of have to look at he's coming from that 90s cool standpoint, the attitude standpoint that if he's just going to be the nice, friendly guy that we got in the Dreamcast era, then what do you have? You don't really have conflict there. That's one of the reasons why Sonic X Sonic isn't especially memorable or good. You couldn't make a series about that version of Sonic because he's so nondescript. He's just a hero. It would be like putting Mario in there. Like, you could do it, but it doesn't really matter. Who cares?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. They need to give him a little bit of his, arrogance. And that's another thing that I love about the show is every character has their flaws to them. I mean, let's face it, Styx is a, paranoid schizophrenic, and Tails...
I'm going to reinterpret that to mean every character is a small bundle of flaws in sentient form.
Correct.
Seems about right.
I mean, Tails, for being the most normal out of the group, he tends to be a bit of the nerdy kid side to him.
Yeah, but hey, Tails gets all the girls.
That's true.
That's just hilarious. That was a bit awkward ending for me. I was like, wait a minute, she's flirting with him? He's like the youngest cast member.
Yeah, but he was the only one that wasn't a jerk.
Yeah, he was the only honest one, and that was my fault, actually.
Well, not just honest, but everyone else was just a horrendous. I don't know.
Bunch of jerks.
Yeah, and that particular episode nailed what I've been having a hard time figuring out about Amy is her role, because for a long time she was this person who was into different hobbies and into charities and stuff, but you couldn't really figure it out. But then later on the show, you realize she's a bit of a control freak. She thinks way too highly of herself, that everyone needs her help, and that basically she's the most important person. And it was nice to finally see, where her flaws really lied. Of course,
Now that we've dissected the characterization in this fairly basic children's cartoon,
right.
Mhm.
Well, it wouldn't be a fan base if we didn't overanalyze stuff.
True enough.
they're all jerks.
Hey, they're all jerks in their own way. But you can
Even
say
the guy
that about
from
everybody.
Mad Burger.
Oh, he's definitely a huge jerk. What's funny is I've seen some of the French adaptations of Sonic Boom with the subtitles, and his character voice is so different that he plays off almost like an entirely different character. Where
Yeah.
in the American show, he's kind of a whiny, squeaky voiced teen with like anger all the time. When you see the other show, he doesn't seem to care at all. He's just going about his day and doesn't seem to give a damn about anything. It's weird.
Jason,
He's
You
got
just
like a
gave-
sense of boredom in his voice the entire time.
Jason, you just gave me every bit of justification to me having watched My Little Pony in Japanese with subtitles.
Is that true?
Now I am no worse off than you.
Well, for me, it was because they had some of the episodes way in advance that I wanted to check out. Even though the French one, Shadow, is ready, I'm not going to bother with that until that airs.
If it's not going to be funny in English, or if it's
Well,
not going to be funny
that's
in a foreign language, then there's really not going to be any point in that episode.
Yeah, you're gonna lose. You tend to lose stuff in translation. I mean, even those, I think it was 4 of them that I watched. Once I saw them in its normal English, you get a lot more out of it. Anyway, so now I derailed my train of thought here for a sec. So yeah, since last October is when Tomy released all the different Sonic Boom toys into America. You know what? You're right. GX is saying getting close to wrapping up. I actually want to save a lot of this for Aaron Weber, so I think I'm gonna cut out a little bit of this area for now. So
Their toys, they're not very good. I think I summarized that up.
yeah, you did earlier.
Except for plushes that have large heads.
And I don't know if
cute
we
things are always better.
even want to talk about the games. And
We've
Okay,
talked
we're
about
not
the
gonna
games
do-
to death already.
Oh
I
my
don't think
God,
there's anything
yes.
else to say about the games.
Yeah,
They have nothing to do with the cartoon, and
And the
they're
cartoon's
not
good.
they're not especially good. They're not especially bad, but they exist. They exist as something that you could invest money in, but probably shouldn't.
Okay, to wrap this up, which of the episodes that you've seen so far has been your favorite?
Probably Knuckles the Mayor.
Mmm.
Really?
That is a good contender. Man, I'd have to look at an episode list. Let's see.
Yeah, I've got. I mean, for me, I think the first 2 episodes, basically, can an evil genius crash on your couch, was so good. It really emphasized what I loved about the show right off the bat. It was one of the best episodes for quite a long while until at least Eggheads came along. And that was also a great episode. But I think I'm going to go with the Can an Evil Genius Crash on Your Couch for a few weeks. This is my personal favorite out of those.
Oh, what was the episode? I don't know where it is. Oh, there it is. I don't know that I'd necessarily call this my favorite, because there have been a lot of pretty strong episodes of this show. But I think the one that sort of defines the tone of the show as not being something particularly, I would say more all ages as far as the show goes. I think Guilt Tripping, where they go to the Gogoba village and they just are constantly guilting them to stay. And I love that, because it's like, that's something that seems to speak more to an older audience, and I got a kick out of it because it was just really, really depressing at times, but depressing in a really funny way.
Oh, you're going to get so many people upset about you on that one. That's most fans, I like that episode myself, but a lot of fans, that's like one of their least favorite episodes for some reason.
I can see why that would be, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm a sick man.
I think
I
it's
just
because the
love
characters
the
are
torment.
incredibly annoying.
Well, they are what they're supposed to be.
Yeah. That was part of the joke, is they keep you, safe. They keep themselves safe by keeping you there with...
Unrelenting passive aggression.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, there's another good one. Just a Guy. I liked that one a
Oh,
lot.
I love that one. It's probably one of my second favorite ones. I know a lot of people not too happy with that one. I find it one of my absolute favorites.
Jason,
a lot of my favorites are just ones that are where the cast is being tormented by passive-aggressive / politically correct just philosophies, and I love those because it's like, this is so stupid, but I love it.
Because that particular one is just people being offended by the smallest bit of things, and then Sonic having to suffer through a whole bit. Oh, you were going to say GX?
I was going to say, Jason, I have a small word of advice for you.
Oh, okay.
And it's to not give a crap about what other fans think.
That's the only way to be a Sonic fan.
That's why like I said, that's one of my favorite episodes. I don't really care if anyone thinks otherwise. I just know that there's a lot of people who don't really care for that episode. But I enjoy it myself. Well, yeah, I think that'll wrap it up for this episode. Stay tuned. I got a little interview with Aaron Weber, possibly. I haven't heard back from him on my emails. Hopefully by the time this gets ready to go, I'll have heard from them. In the meantime, you can always catch me here on Sonic Stadium or occasionally at Sega Bits when I occasionally do writing for them. I've been way behind on that, I'm sorry to say. And GX, where can they find you?
CustomStitchedTruckCozies.com is my new URL.
Oh, didn't you get that contract with Formula Truck down in Brazil?
I tried. I mean, the problem is my cozies just aren't. I couldn't get the supplies ready in time to actually have a good solid pitch to them, so it just kind of went through. But whenever I'm not over there, I'm usually over at nevershutup.com and doing stuff there or bothering people on other Sonic podcasts that Jason is on.
So have you figured out the technology to keep the cozies from sliding off the dashboard?
Well, I mean, that was perfected in the 1980s, let's be honest. It just kind of shows how ignorant you are to the whole industry there. I mean, geez, I'm talking to a straight-up noob here. Staying on the dashboards, God.
Okay.
He doesn't know what's going on.
Not with cozies. Anyway, and that'll be it for this episode. Thank you very much for listening in, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, and thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for being on. I really appreciate it.
Cool.
Thank you for being a friend.
I should have said that earlier.
Travel down the road and back again.
Peace, y'all.
Bye-bye.
So long. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second half of our show. And I have with me tonight from Sega as the community manager, if I'm getting that right, because often I get it wrong about your position, Mr. Aaron Weber.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Long time no see.
Long time no see.
Now, before getting into Sonic Boom, I wanted to ask a few other things. I don't know how much of this you could talk about, but can you go into any detail on why you left Sega back in 2014 and what made you decide to come back?
Ah, you want to know, huh?
Yeah.
All right, I guess I can tell you. So in 2014, I'd been working for Sega, I think, for about 5 or 6 years at that point. I had been so happy to have been involved in all these different projects, right? Everything from Sonic to bringing Hatsune Miku out in the West, and like all of that stuff was really, really exciting for me. And I got to that point, and as I think probably all do in our lives, where we start to wonder, maybe you work really late nights, maybe you work a lot of weekends, or you do all this extra stuff, and what does it become at the end of the day? What does all of your effort, accumulate to? And I had a moment when I realized that there was a lot that I had done and really enjoyed doing, but there's also a lot that I hadn't done. and that I wouldn't have a chance to do if I remained at Sega. And in particular, for me, that was actually within the charity sector. And I decided that I kind of wanted to do a lot more involving charities and trying to find ways to give back, and in particular to try and help inspire people and really kids and youth that kind of wanted to dream big and to live their dreams. And that was actually kind of what I wanted to go and do. One of the reasons that I came back to Sega is that I was given the opportunity to use the Sonic pages and kind of the Sega brand as a way to do that. And it seemed to be a really good alignment at the time. But to be honest, when I decided to come back, there was a lot going through my mind at that point. Because I think two months prior, three or 4 months prior to my return, there was all the news, right, about Sega of America and all the major changes. And it was surreal for me, right? Because that was kind of like my family. Because I started at Sega when I was 19. So I kind of grew up with a lot of the people that were at Sega of America. And it was a little heartbreaking to watch it change in such a way and to see so many great people be let go. And so there was kind of this moment of do you want to take on the torch? And I thought, well, it might be now or never. So, okay, let's give this a shot. So that's kind of the long version of why I left and what it was that brought me back. But in particular, for me as a fan, I think for probably a lot of the listeners out there too, right? If there's something that you could do, a job that you could do that is related to something that you absolutely love, it makes all the difference in the world when you enjoy what you do. And thankfully for me, working on Sonic in particular is one of those things that when you grow up with it, when you read the comics as a kid and you play all the games and you watch all the TV shows and it was such a part of your life, it seemed like a good opportunity to come back to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish and quite frankly to teach the new people that we're going to be starting down in Los Angeles as well.
That's true. Now you the main thing with you coming back is now you represent Sonic on Twitter. It's in a way I kind of have Sonic on my show now. And you've been doing some amazing stuff with it. I mean, some folks have called it the best Sonic thing in years. How has Sega felt about your input on the account since you've been a little less conservative and a little more crazy with that?
Oh, they haven't found out yet. Don't tell them. No, I'm kidding. Of course they know. It's been good. And to be honest, a lot of the stuff as far as the new direction with Sonic was kind of done with this. I'm just gonna go with it and see what happens. And if things go very poorly and this is my last day on the job, then okay, no problem. But it turned out to go really well, and I think I'm flattered, quite frankly, and honored that a lot of people enjoy it so much and appreciate the new direction. And have nothing but thanks and big hearts for those people. And the Sonic stuff in particular, I think is fun now because, to me, at least, Sonic has never been about being really safe and being really corporate and being really PC and being something that you would expect that is cookie cutter, right? No offense, but that's what Mario was, right? As far as the 90s, yeah. That was Mario. Sonic was your edgy character. He was the guy that was out there doing the things you didn't expect, the really cool stuff, the stuff that you looked at and laughed and went, I kind of can't believe they did that. Oh my gosh. I still say that when I look back at the old Sega ads from those days with some of the console stuff. But that was kind of what I envisioned Sonic as, right? Like he's got a personality, a very distinct personality, a very, in my opinion, recognizable and special personality. And that wasn't there. It wasn't being seen on the pages. And so I added it back. I brought that back and wanted to make sure that we made the pages fun. And I think part of making the pages fun is what makes them so endearing. And you can tweet to Sonic, and there's a decent chance Sonic might tweet back, and he might throw a meme at you. He might respond with something serious, but at the end of the day, you'll have a fun time, and that's kind of what we want to make, embody Sonic on all of these channels.
What has been your favorite Twitter post that you've done as Sonic?
Oh man, there's a lot. Pretty much the rule is, when responding, if I start laughing as I'm writing the response out, it's a good one. And sometimes, like for example, there are some posts that I write out and I laugh and I go, I wonder if anyone might take this the wrong way. Let's go to the Jim Sterling post, for example. The one about his Sonic Colors review, right? Or the game trailers post where they
Jim Sterling actually absolutely loved that. He was mentioning on the podcast, his own podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Kudos to Jim Sterling. That guy has been an excellent sport about all of it. So a lot of respect for him on that front. And then you've got people on the other end of the spectrum, maybe like the game trailers group, that called Generations being good a delusion, I think was the exact phrasing that they used, and we kind of called them out on that. And so that one for me is also a really fun one. That was a good day as well. And those again are kind of moments when you're kind of pushing the envelope. It's not, you don't expect Sonic to go after one of these brands and to kind of call them out publicly and throw them out there like that, but we did, and I think it worked out quite well in the end.
Oh yeah, people absolutely love that one because that's the one where you posted their review, which gave it I think an 8.5.
An 8 out of 10, yeah.
Yeah.
8.5, yeah. They loved it, and there's a lot of times that there's hypocrisy all over the gaming media, right? Like it's everywhere, and so, but often it doesn't necessarily get called out. And in particular with Sonic being such an iconic brand and such an iconic franchise, there's going to be these moments when it's cool to hate on Sonic, or because Sonic is so well known, people will give his games lower review scores maybe than another game. If it had been any other game titled anything but Sonic, it would have had a higher score, right? Because they have that nostalgia in their mind. And so oftentimes people are very harsh, very critical towards Sonic games. And so I think it's nice that Sonic has a bit of a chance to kind of dish a little back these days and to call people out if they want to kind of play both sides of the coin there.
We were mentioning earlier about Sega and the changes that were going on, and that now they've moved down to LA. Have you made that move as well, or are you still in San Francisco?
Oh man, it's hot, and I'm in LA, and it's warm. Did I mention it's hot? So I'm not used to it yet. I moved down back earlier in the summer. I actually moved down around the July time frame, and it was pretty crazy because I came back to Sega and was like, okay, I'm going to take over all of the PR and the community stuff for Sonic. Oh, and there's this new game that we have to announce, really soon, and we got all this stuff going. Oh, okay. Oh, and in the meantime, also I need to find a new place to live. Really quickly. I need to find a new place to live. And so all of that was like swirling around all at once. It was a very busy summer for me.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. So what's Sega's new home like? And can I visit sometime? I'm not too far from there.
You want to come by sometime? It's a little smaller than the last place, which I think you came by and saw, right?
No, that was Sega Bits Barrie.
That's right. Okay. I was gonna say we had a lot of guests at the old office in San Francisco. Yeah, not quite as big as that one, but it's homey, and we got a lot of Sonic stuff. I've got my collection of first four figures that I brought with me to kind of liven the place up a bit. We've actually got that statue from nice classic Sonic statues down here, and the original classic Sonic statue, I think from the Redwood Shores office in the early 90s.
Nice.
There's pictures of like Tom Kalinske with it. There was a Knuckles one out there too. There's a picture of him with that one all over the place. But we've got that here as well in one of our meeting rooms. So it's a change, right? It's definitely a change for Sonic. A lot of things are changing, but I think that in many ways they are going to change for the better, and that we're kind of starting to see that change now with social media kind of being the start of it, and then. We'll get to this a little bit later with delay on Sonic Boom, but there's a change in the mindset of a lot of people at Sega with regard to Sonic, and I think that's going to be a very good thing, especially in the years to come. It's one of those things you're not always going to see in the short term, but in the long term you start to see it a lot more.
That's very cool. Yeah, I mean, if you ever while you're down this way, I'd recommend just hopping on the 60 freeway, going about 40 minutes down to Sousa Avenue, where the Pointy Hills Mall is. It used to be Lone Pines Mall on the Back to the Future movie. There's a Round One arcade. I don't know if you've heard of this.
Yeah, I've heard of it. That's where they there's a lot of Hatsune Miku stuff.
Oh yeah,
that is down there, right?
It's all imported arcade games. I believe it's Japanese owned, and they got like 9 karaoke rooms and a bunch of bowling. They have all the Sega, what are those, the UFO catchers? It's kind of like Yakuza. It's kind of like a Club Sega from Yakuza over there, very large. But yeah, it's an awesome arcade if you ever get a chance to go down that way.
Fantastic.
I'd like to talk a little bit about Sonic Lost World that's now heading to PC. We got a PC port coming out on November 2nd. How long has this been in development?
That one, I couldn't tell you how long it's been in development for, because that is a totally separate team from mine. But I heard about that recently too when it first popped onto my plate. Like, oh, we're going to be announcing this soon. And I was like, wait, what? Oh, you're doing Lost World on PC? Oh, cool. Is it 60 frames? And like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. I would play that. So yeah, I couldn't tell you how long it's been in development for. I could tell you I'm kind of excited to get a chance to play it again on PC. There's probably a lot of people out there that didn't own a Wii U, so this will be a nice chance for them to get the game and to try it out. And I would caution them when you go into it, be ready for the stages to get harder at the end of the game. In particular, be ready. If you brace yourself for that, you'll be fine. But it's a pretty fun game, and I do like a lot of the things that it tried. The experiments with speed, right? Trying to get the platforming down, right? There's a lot of good stuff in there that hopefully people will enjoy when it comes out on PC soon.
Okay, I don't know how much you know about this, since I guess you weren't involved in its development, but do you know any ways that the controls have been changed from the Wii U to the PC, since there's no like gyro controls or touch screen or anything like that?
Right, since you don't have that screen there. I do not know, but that is something that we can easily look into. And I can actually throw some questions over towards the PC development side and just kind of say, hey, the people on this podcast want to know. So let's find out for them and get you some answers.
All right, that sounds cool. I'm sure the one of the things that people have enjoyed about like Sonic Generations being on PC is the modding community that's involved with that. I don't know how Sega feels about having their games modded, but I mean that's pretty much the way it is for all PC games. I mean we have stuff like the Unleashed project on Generations, or you can even play as Sonic Boom Sonic on Generations and that. What are your feelings about mods, and does Sega really frown on that at all?
So let me preface this by saying that I cannot give you Sega's official stance on mods, because I have no idea what their official stance is. But I can give you my personal stance. And my personal stance is that when I play Skyrim with like 43 different mods enabled, because they are amazing and they add so much to the game. And that kind of mindset sums up how I feel about mods for Sonic as well, which is that when it comes to games like Sonic Generations, mods on PC can do such an amazing job of adding a life and a new breath of kind of fresh air for a game that you might have otherwise played for 30, 40 hours and completely beaten, but it adds something new. So that's what I really like about mods, in particular with Sonic. There's a really cool thread on the Sega forums that's been going on for years with the old Sonic Generations forum about all the mods that people were creating, and I loved going into that and seeing what people were doing and what things they were adding in. There's one, do you remember, I think it's Pele the Beloved Dog?
Yeah, I saw that.
For Sonic 06. And I saw that, thought it was awesome. There was also Pickle Unleashed for Sonic with Professor Pickle. So there's a lot of really, really cool stuff out there. I love mods because they represent one of the things that I think the Sonic fan base does best, which is be really talented and creative. And when you give them the freedom to do those kinds of things, I think that you see these amazing results that add life to products for years and years after you would have initially thought they might have ended. So Too Long Didn't Read version, mods are awesome. Personally, I love them. And I can't wait to see the kind of stuff that the Sonic fan base will continue to do for games like Generations in the future.
Yeah, I love like classic Eggman as Sonic, and when he starts running fast, he tucks his entire head and links an arm into his body and basically becomes this ball because his body can't, they don't have that kind of animation for him. Okay, so
Right.
Let's get on to Sonic Boom. It's been almost a full year since the show has started. I guess the first season's going to be ending soon in about mid-November, with Shadow in the final episode, which I'm sure everyone's pretty excited about.
Well, spoilers, bro. Spoilers. What are you talking? There's no shadow. I don't know what he's talking about, listeners. There's no shadow. And if you watched anything in French, it's probably just, bootlegged and a fan project or something. Anyway, what's the question?
Okay, it's been almost a year since the show has started. What are your feelings on this comical little cartoon?
Oh, personally, I love it. The cartoon, you gotta remember, I helped kind of peripherally with the cartoon for quite a while before I left Sega, and I know how much I can tell you about my involvement with it, but it was to the point that I'd seen a lot of the scripts and stuff like that, and they would ask me often for like how would the fans react to this and that. The cool thing is that they built a lot of that with you guys in mind. Even from the very beginning, they're kind of going, is it okay to do this? Would the fans be upset if we were to do this or that? How about this character? And so there's a lot of stuff in there that maybe certain characters act certain ways or do certain things that were changed for the fans and that were crafted eventually for the fans. So personally, when I started watching the episodes after I'd left Sega, I was watching them. Well, let's say I was watching them on Cartoon Network and totally not online on YouTube, because who would do that? Right. And as I was watching them, I was laughing. I was actually laughing. I was like, oh, this is how this script came out, and oh, I remember the concept for this, and it was really cool seeing it come to life because I'd been out for so many months and had missed all of the in between. So I saw the early stuff and then I saw the final product, and I think it's really cool because it for me is something that I actually laugh at, and there's always going to be some negative people. I think, at least I have to manage the Sega forums as well. So there is that very, lovely crowd of people that are always hating on anything Sonic Boom because of Buff Knuckles or Sonic with a Scarf. And it wouldn't matter how good it was. It could be literally an 11 out of 10 game, and they'd be like, no, it's terrible because it's got Buff Knuckles. They don't even want to give it a chance. And that's cool. All right, whatever. It's fine. But personally, I think that the show is really cool. Honestly, for me, it's one of the high points of the entire Sonic Boom initiative is the TV show.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I think, honestly, I love as well the way that the characters come to life. Eggman for me has grown in terms of his popularity. I'm like my personal preference. Eggman has gone up so much due to that show. Just the way that he is written as a character, the way that Mike Pollock delivers the lines, I think is fantastic. And likewise to a lot of the other characters too, to pretty much the whole cast and crew. Even Orbot and Cubot get time. There's like Dave the intern. Mm-hmm. It's a character I did not think I would really like much, but there's the episode where he talks about not having any mercy because he works in the fast food industry and stuff like that. And, there's a lot of good stuff in there. So, yeah, I like the show quite a bit, I have to say.
Yeah, there's a lot of great self-referential humor to it, and kind of makes jabs at its own, its own franchise as well. I always found hilarious. And it's always great to just see, when you play the video games, for the most part, they're just basically reading off their lines, and you don't really get a chance for them to have their more emotional moments or for them to really act out a scene like you do on the show, which is one of the things I just love about it. I mean, just last week I had one scene where Sonic's just waiting around for Eggman to attack, and he just starts making little noises.
He gets bored and just starts making those, the tea party, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just has this nice slow moment that's character interacted, and I honestly love what they've done with Knuckles. I mean, it's not the same, of course, Knuckles that we have in the Sega Sonic, but still, he's the second most hilarious character I think in the show, next to Eggman himself.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's more of a fan question, and that's some question I'd ask myself. Why do a spin-off instead of using the Sega Sonic cast?
So why do a different version for Sonic Boom? Why change things up a bit?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let me count the ways. No, but really probably the easiest answer that I can give for that is that it gives you freedom to do things that you might not be able to normally do, or it might give you the ability to take things in a direction that maybe you're not used to seeing, or to create environments and worlds that may not exist within the original Sonic universe. So I think freedom is the best answer to that question, summed up very nicely.
Now, how early has Sonic Boom as a franchise been in production?
I've got to think back here. It was quite a while. It was long before I had left. And there had been, all these debates about the redesign for Sonic, and a lot of me going like, guys, you got to watch out. They're going to hate the new Knuckles design. You got to watch out for that. Like, there's a lot of fun talks internally. Someday I hope that it can all come to light, how that whole process went. There's probably a million things that different parties could tell you about the whole process of redesigning the characters and all of the process behind it. But it was quite a while back. I can't give you an exact year or month. I just remember it was quite some time before I left in 2014.
Around when did you come into the Sonic Boom project yourself?
Now I've really got to think back. Probably not too far after the concept. Stephen Frost, who was the producer for the Wii version of the game, and also Omar, who was the producer for the 3DS version, Omar Woodley. Those guys and I worked. I wouldn't say too closely because I was kind of on Hatsune Miku at the time, but they would come sometimes and talk to me. In particular, Steven, and I used to talk a lot about some of the changes to Sonic and how the community was going to react, and I would try to give him some guidance where I could. And he was very interested in getting that feedback. So it was probably at the early concept of the project, even as far back as designing some of the characters. But my role at the time, you have to remember though, as I was moving into brand management at that point, I was moving a little bit away from Sonic and a lot more into a lot of the Japanese IP we wanted to bring over. So I kind of had to say goodbye to some of the Sonic stuff after Lost Worlds, really more like All Stars Racing and Lost World were kind of the last two that I really worked on. And then I moved on to everything Hatsune Miku and had also worked on games like Anarchy Reigns and a couple others before that too, as I was going in there.
Yeah. I'm surprised at some of the reactions they gotten. Like, I mean, they've shown some, I've seen some early concept of Sonic with the scarf, but with tan arms, and in actuality, blue arms just work better for the character, I think, in myself.
It's totally, it's like just like a personal opinion. I don't know if maybe Steven told this story at one time, but we used to go around and this is when we were having this blue arms debate, right? Because this was a discussion at one point. And so here's what you do. You go to someone that's a Sonic fan that doesn't know the whole blue arms, tan arms thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't quite to that level of knowledge. And what you do is you go to them and you go, what color is Sonic the Hedgehog's arms? And I bet you, because this is what we found, that like 3/4 of them will go, oh, they're blue. Like that's the natural reaction that people have when they think of the character is they go, oh, his arms are blue. And then you look at it and you go, oh, wait, no, actually they're not. They're tan. And the reason that people think that sometimes is because his legs are blue. So it's kind of strange sometimes from the original character perspective that his arms are tan, but the legs are blue. Why is that? And it's just part of Sonic's unique design, right? As far as classic and modern Sonic go. But that was the test that we did. And so many people they would all say blue arms. That's just kind of how people would think about it naturally when they imagine Sonic.
And it's something when you're watching the show you don't even notice or paying attention to. It's not a big deal whatsoever.
It's honestly, it's a minor thing. Like, what's important for Sonic, in my opinion, is not whether his arms are blue or his eyes are black or green. It is, are the games good? And are you enjoying the Sonic content that's being offered to you? Like, that's what matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, so speaking of some negative reaction, I mean, when the show, the games were officially announced, there's a bit of concern with the huge change in Knuckles to what a lot of people call Buffles. But now a lot more people seem to love the characters. He's one of the funniest on the show. When you got to see the feedback on the changes themselves, what was your initial reaction to the cosmetic changes on all the characters?
There were some I liked and some I didn't like. In particular, I really liked Amy's changes because her big change was less about physical appearance and more about she's now stronger and independent. And I love God. She's not like she's not the damsel in distress from Sonic CD, and she's not the crazy stalker chick from Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. This is kind of nice. And I know sorry, Amy fans. I know she kind of goes through that story arc in Sonic Adventure 1 where she becomes more independent. Yes. I can see that. But just kind of in general, that was the vibe she had, right? She was always like kind of clingy. And kind of still is to a certain extent in modern Sonic universe. So in Boom, I really like that she is totally independent. Things I also liked, I like that Tails gets a bit more fun with his inventions and has a lot more inventions. For me, Knuckles was kind of mixed. At first, I was like, oh my gosh, like he looks so different. I think I had the same reaction that all the other people did. And I told myself, I was like, well, okay, let's try to be open-minded here, right? Yeah. They're trying something new. They're trying to go in a different direction. All right, I'm going to be open-minded. But it was still pretty hard for me to stomach and to swallow. And then about a month later, I looked at it again. I was like, now that some time has passed, okay, it's not so bad maybe. It really depends on how they deliver it. And I get that they're trying to make him like the power character. And when you see the silhouette of the team, of Sonic's team, you can clearly pick out Knuckles as that is your power guy. That's the strong one. I was like, okay, all right, I get that. So in time, I got used to Knuckles. But in the beginning, I was a little bit I think I had the same reaction as most fans, which is like, whoa, what have you done? Why is he so different? It's what you do to any character that you've known and grown up and loved for that many years, right? For over 20 years. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, oh, surprise, we've changed the look of this iconic character. It's very natural for people to react in a slightly negative way up front. And so I kind of relayed that to the team and said, be ready to manage that expectation and to manage the feedback here because people are going to be a little upset at a lot of these designs. So get set. All right. See you later. Back to Miku.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Knuckles goes, I think it's such a drastic change that it just becomes like his own character on his own, separate from the Sonic Knuckles, where if they had just made him a little bit dumb, I think it would have been a bit of an insult to the original character, where in this case, he's so mind-numbingly stupid that it just goes way over the top to where it's his own character. It's its own,
It's definitely a different. Yeah, it definitely feels like a different Knuckles. And there were some people that were like, oh, Knuckles used to be so smart in the old games. And then you think back to Sonic 3 when he gets tricked by Eggman. And then Sonic Adventure when he gets tricked by Eggman. Multiple times, I think, actually. Yeah. It's like, historically, actually, Knuckles has never quite been that smart. But the show certainly takes it to a different direction as far as his lack of intelligence. Or it should be pointed out, there are some moments when he has very interesting, almost like genius level clarity of thought, strangely. You never know with Knuckles. You never know.
Right, and the other thing was, like you were mentioning about Amy Rose, and Cindy Robinson has done a wonderful job with that character on this show, but originally it seemed like a Sonic team was directing her to be more of an Amy or Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse character in the games. I mean, it was a completely different voice style than she has now. One thing I was going to ask, I didn't have any questions. I don't know how much you know about anything going on with Sonic Team, but when they go back to that, if they go back to that Sega Sonic Amy, will she still be directed as that Minnie Mouse style, or will she have more of the same kind of vocal tones that she has in Sonic Boom?
That is a good question, and I have no idea at the current time. Sorry, man.
All right. Let me look where I am on our questions. Pardon me.
No
okay. Is there anything that you'd like to talk about as far as the games that were released last year?
Honestly, not too much. One thing I'll say about the games from last year, beyond that I might have laughed more than I should have. Remember, I wasn't back at Sega at this time, right? So I'm looking at the stuff as a fan. I'm laughing when I watch the Infinite Knuckles jump. When all that stuff's coming to light, I'm watching like the Game Grumps playthrough of that. Just like, oh man, Knuckles is the best character in any Sonic game ever right now. One thing I do think, when I came back and really got to take a deeper look at both the games, I do think the 3DS game last year got a little bit more heat than it probably deserved, which I think kind of like looped over a little bit from the other version of the game.
I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it it kind of feeds into what I talked about earlier, which is that, like, to an extent, it's cool to hate on Sonic a little bit within the gaming press these days, or at least it has been. Hopefully we can kind of change that, and have been trying to change that. But so it's like whenever you have a game like that one version that shall not be named, it's very easy to take that and go, oh, so this other version must be bad too. I'm going to go look at this with a rather negative initial sort of starting point. And it's not to say that there aren't things that can be improved. Absolutely. There's a million things I think that you can go back, and any dev team with all the time and money in the world they would keep going on their game. They would never finish it because they'd want to keep making it better and better. But it's one of those cases where I do think 3DS might have been hit a little hard on their reviews, partially because of what it was partnered with at the time. So that's kind of what I'm hopeful personally for Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. And I'm actually really kind of pleased with Sonic-2 Sonic Boom, which came out recently too.
Right.
Because we finally have games in the Sonic Boom universe. We've had a TV show, it's been really good, but we've needed games that were good too to make it work. And so now that you have Sonic-2 Sonic Boom on mobile phones and devices, and now you've got Sonic Boom Fire and Ice coming up in the future, those I think are going to really help bring it back and kind of add the quality that is going to be needed and has been needed, in my opinion, with Sonic for some time.
All right. One thing I was going to mention, let me see here. We know that Sonic Boom Fire and Ice got delayed to 2016. However, the Carl's Jr.'s promotion for the game is currently ongoing. Is that what?
It's out right now. Go buy a cool kids meal, everybody. Get your Sonic Boom toys.
That's true. Now, was more like of a contract thing where it was delayed so late in production that they couldn't like step out of the Carl's Jr.'s thing?
Sort of. So marketing deals get done well in advance of actually going live. In particular, with stuff like the fast food industry, you're looking at getting the stuff set up many, many months in advance of the actual promotion. And so we kind of had been in discussions about moving the game and delaying it for quality purposes for a while there. But it's one of those cases where when that decision is made, and all right, the game's going to 2016 now, but there's not really a way to move this promotion. So, all right, out it goes, and we're just going to make it work. So that's just due to timing.
Mm-hmm.
However, one really cool story that came of that is that I think it was, last week we took about 20 Sega employees and we drove down to a Carl's Jr. Out here in Los Angeles, and literally all 20 of us get in. We get in line, and each person, one after the next, orders a kids meal. And the guy that's like ringing us up has the strangest look on his face as we're going through, like, what the heck? Why are all these people ordering kids meals? What is happening here? And we're taking pictures of like the Sonic promotion stuff on the walls, and they probably thought it was some like weird, creepy, like super nuts Sonic fans coming into Carl's Jr. or something.
Oh yeah, those Sonic fans are creepy and super nuts.
Dude, I hear those guys are crazy, man. Crazy. So yeah, we all got kids meals, and then we all got our little communicator wristwatch thing, and got a group picture with that. I actually referenced that in one of the Tumblr hashtags today, but that's a real thing. It really happened. And so there's a lot of funds kind of come about, and I think it's good to see Sonic being back at like the fast food areas. I know they did Del Taco last year too, but as a kid, I have really fond memories of the McDonald's promotions they did. Some of the toys, I still have some of the toys from those McDonald's promotions, in fact. And so it's good to see Sonic getting out there and being a very notable icon as far as gaming and even TV and just a cultural icon is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, even though the game's been delayed, it's still a good promotion for both the upcoming game and the Sonic Boom, cartoon franchise overall. To have that out there, one of the things I was thinking of is I had an idea, but I didn't know if you were in LA or San Fran yet. Is maybe for fun have you challenge Cinzaro Games' Matt Kramer to a game of Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, the board game that comes with a little meal. Having that live cast, I think that'd be, kind of fun.
All right, Matt Kramer of Cinzaro. That's right, sir. If you're I'm going to get one of those board games, and the next time that I catch you in San Francisco or you come down here, it's on because Jason has decreed that this must happen. I hope you are aware of what you've done now, Jason.
Oh yeah, that would be
Okay.
that would be absolutely that would be hilarious. That'd be so much fun. Okay, we've had a year of some very funny and hilarious episodes. I mean, one thing I absolutely love about Sonic Boom is even the absolute worst episode for me has at least one good laugh in it. I mean, that's something I really enjoy about it. What has been your favorite episode out of the ones shown so far?
Oh, you're going to make me pick just one?
Well, you can pick more than one, yes.
Oh, man. Oh, there's so many good ones, but probably some of the ones that I've watched more recently are just like top of mind. One of the ones I really loved was the Bro Down Showdown. Do you know that one?
Oh, yes.
Bro Down Showdown is one of my favorite ones. Especially that moment when Sonic gets paired up with Eggman and they go to Knuckles and he's like, but I thought this was going to be a Sonic and Knuckles episode. And that when he says that line, I was just like, yes, the references. That whole episode for me was a lot of fun. The opening with Amy's couch when Sonic and Knuckles are just like hanging out, having fun. I can totally picture them doing that. It seemed like such a natural fit, and then they're like eating nachos and the cheese gets on the couch. All of that seemed just so perfect.
Yeah, one thing I really love about this show is Sonic and Knuckles' relationship as far as, like, when they hang out together individually, Sonic likes to suddenly just do stupid stuff with him that he wouldn't do with, like, Tails or any of the other characters. He's just, more of his big bro type. And one thing I loved about that episode was Amy receiving the Selfless Award that she nominated herself for. And just grab it and go, hey, give it to me.
That's right.
All right. One of my personal favorites was Just a Guy. I know a lot of fans weren't that crazy about it, but I love the idea of these people just being way oversensitive about just Sonic just saying a lot. That him and the gang have had experience fighting Robotnik, and he just didn't want this guy along in case he got hurt because he's just a normal person, and they take all this offense about it. It kind of shows how oversensitive people can be, especially when you're on social media now and you see
I was going to
people
say
reacting.
Yeah, man,
like
that episode, that is like social media, the episode. It really is.
Yeah.
Like, no, but I didn't mean that. Nope, too late,
That's true. And
that one, that one in particular has that really fun moment when, and this is kind of a spoiler, so spoiler alerts if you're listening in. There's that moment when Sonic is trying to go to his happy place and Mike keeps showing up, like keeps popping into his happy place.
Oh yeah.
And he pops into like the real world, and there's this guy dressed as Sonic with the trash that kind of like became a meme. I saw. There's a really cool story behind that, actually. Maybe I can reveal part of that now. Did you guys know that we got a fan for that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, nobody's heard any like behind the scenes as far as like that scene goes.
Let me give you some exclusive then. So that is a Sonic fan, and I'll give you something more. That is a Sonic fan that some of you guys have probably seen somewhere before. You have probably seen something that they did somewhere out on the internet. I'll give you that to work with. And I'll probably be able to get an interview up posted with them on the Sega blogs within the next couple of weeks as well to give a little behind the scenes on that shot and how we made it happen. But that whole scene came together really quickly, and we wanted to involve the fans in it and have this really cool story to tell later. And so there you go. You're the first person I've told about that, I think, officially. So yes, do what you will with this information, Jason. I entrust it to you and your listeners.
Okay, that is an awesome little story. I didn't know any. No, I don't think anybody knew about that.
Yeah, that's an actual Sonic fan that we brought in for that.
Yeah, one of the other things with Sonic Boom I think a lot of people enjoy is that the villagers are not just little background characters that don't do anything. They're actually tend to have their own stories or get involved quite a bit. I mean, we have a whole family of walruses. I think there's like 6 or 7 walruses in the show that
my baby.
And on a tropical island. That's got to be hell for them during the summer.
Yeah, that you got to wonder sometimes too, though. Like I think it's either Hilltop or some of the zones in Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 even. You get to those environments and you bust little animals out of the robots, and they it's a little sad sometimes when the animals jump in the lava or they jump off the side of the cliff. You got to wonder sometimes if they're really safe. Actually, Sky Chase Zone, there's a great comic that one of the comics, I think it's like No More Rings or Out of Rings. I hate myself for not remembering the name right now. Do you know it? Do you know the comic I'm talking about?
I think that's the one where he's way up in the air and he's popping and freeing the animals, and it one of them's a bunny, and it just drops to the earth, plummets
to the earth, and he looks down like, And you think about it, you're like, oh yeah, actually that would be what happened.
That's actually what I've kind of made a joke about this for the beginning of Sonic Lost World. He drops the entire crate full of flickies. And
I had that same question,
and I'm
by
like,
the way.
How does that thing survive when it crashes to the ground?
They've got a lot of padding inside, all right? There's some really industrial strength padding there. Oh, Not Enough Rings. Not Enough Rings is the name of the comic.
I've heard them.
And I think I backed them on Kickstarter, and they sent me a book of their comics with a custom Big the Cat drawing in it. And I was so happy. But yeah, anyway, so to get back to your question, yeah, there's a lot of animals that are involved, and it's kind of fun because they have personalities. There's an episode that focuses on the guy that works at Mebburger, which is Dave the intern, right? Like he gets, almost his own episode with the villain stuff when he's trying to take over. And it's kind of fun to see the personalities of those characters fleshed out.
Yeah, he's got quite a bit.
I think it's cool.
He's got quite a few episodes. My favorite's probably Fastidious Beaver, but I don't think he gets as much screen time as a lot of the other cast.
Actually, Fastidious, yeah. Yeah, he gets a little bit here and there. I love that he's one of those like recurring jokes. A lot of the guys on the forum sometimes like they don't do enough recurring jokes or referencing old episodes, but Fastidious Beaver actually has a number of moments when he does that, and as a lot of episodes, especially later in like midway and towards the end of the first season, that reference a lot of stuff from before. So I think it's fun to see that happening.
Right. I mean, there's one where he was just talking to the gang, and he goes, and he's about to say something where he's got to say to who, and if you see Fastidious Beaver just peeking out through the window, he goes, oh, to whom? And then he goes back in. He's just this little grammar Nazi guy who pops up.
Just shows up. Yeah.
Out of the villagers, who would you say is your favorite?
So this can be any of the villagers?
Yeah. Well, not counting like the Sonic and group, and then
right. Obviously, not counting the primary sort of five and Eggman. Fastidious Beaver is fun, but he reminds me of it's like English class all over again with him. It's like I appreciate him as a character, and I appreciate what he's trying to do, but I don't know he's my favorite. I would say I really like Dave the intern as a character. He's pretty fun. And then let me think if there's anyone else that I really like. The woman that's always that needs her baby saved in every episode kind of cracks me up a little bit. Just because there's one episode I think where she's like criticizing someone else for their parenting, and I thought that was fun.
Yeah, that was in a recent episode, the Fuzzy Puppy.
Yeah, she's criticizing them for parenting. I'm like, I appreciate that because you have to watch the other episodes to appreciate that joke, a little bit.
Well, as soon as she's done criticizing him,
she says that her baby,
hanging off the ceiling again.
Yeah, so it's like it's funny in the moment, and more funny if you've seen the other episodes because you know what's going to happen. So I'd probably say those are some of my favorite characters, but I really kind of like the personalities that a lot of them have. Actually, I know I take it back. I take it all back. You know who the best one is? Justin Bieber.
You like Justin Bieber?
No, I'm kidding, dude.
I was gonna say, okay.
His music has me under mind control, and that's why I have to say these things.
All right. If you could bring one Sega Sonic character, and I think I already know the answer to this, into Sonic Boom, who would it be and why?
You know what I'm gonna say. You know exactly what I'm going to say, so maybe I should change the answer. So,
well, you know what? Part of the question. Let me kind of add make an amendment to the character? Also, how would you change the character to fit the more comedy show format?
So what I would do is I would take Big the Cat, because Big is the best character in the Sonic universe, obviously, right?
Right.
And I would take Big the Cat and I would completely wrap him like a mummy. He would just be a mummy. And he's got 2 little holes for his eyes. And then I would give him a fishing pole in each hand. And then we would call him Big, but it's Big with 2 eyes. Like, it's a very exotic spelling of Big. And he'd be Big the Cat, but cat with like a K. And then under that we would put original character, do not steal. And that's exactly how I would do it.
Alrighty. Let me see. As the first year of the franchise, Sonic Boom has had its ups and downs, but it seems to be doing well right now. What do you see for the future of Sonic Boom as a franchise?
Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. As we're coming up on the end of the first season for the TV show, it's a pretty exciting time watching this kind of happen. We've had Metal Sonic. Oh, sorry, more spoilers. We had Metal Sonic show up in one of the recent episodes, along with Hipster Sonic, by the way, which is kind of fun. And we've seen the show do phenomenally well on the ratings and all over the place. So people love the show. It's introducing a lot of new people to Sonic, which is awesome, right? That's what you want. Mm-hmm. You want something that the fans can enjoy and that new fans that don't know Sonic yet can see and love and kind of be brought into the fold with. I think the thing for Sonic at this point, and this is not just for Sonic Boom, but for Sonic in general, is that there needs to be a big emphasis on quality. And the show does this very well. And at this point, it's now that the games have to do this too, which is you've got to have this really excellent level of quality, in my opinion, in everything that you do. And we've kind of really tried to hit that home with social media recently, and like, let's do really amazing stuff and really fun stuff. And so once we can get that on every front, and in particular on the game front, it's so important because that's what Sonic was, right? Mm-hmm. On Genesis, on the Sega Saturn for all 8 of you that owned one, on Dreamcast, and on all the games since, he's such a known gaming icon that he really needs good games to kind of continue to succeed, in my opinion. It's such a critical part of his history that it almost feels incomplete without that. And so once we're at a state that everything is delivering quality, and hopefully Sonic Dash 2, Sonic Boom has kind of like started that from the guys at Hardlight. When you have that parity going across all platforms, you're in a really good spot. And so I think while Sonic Boom may have had, in my opinion, from a fan perspective, right, because I wasn't at Sega when this stuff came out, I think it might have had a rough start on the gaming front and on just the perception of the character redesigns. I think that a year into it, people are looking at the games coming out and upcoming as either, Sonic Dash 2, Sonic Boom is good or pretty good. People like it, right? Sonic Boom Fire and Ice has a lot of hope, I think, at this point. It's the first time we've delayed a handheld or console Sonic game in quite some time that wasn't a downloadable title. And it's even been quite some time since we delayed Sonic 4 back in the day too, which we pushed pretty heavily for to improve that. And it's good. I think it's good when you take time to say, let's focus on quality, because 5 or 10 years down the road, no one cares necessarily whether you hit that ship date or not, right? Mm-hmm. But people care whether or not you have another Sonic 06 on your hands. You better believe it. And they're doing their Let's Plays and their YouTube videos, and everyone remembers if you've got a bad game. So you've got to make sure that what you deliver is good. And so on that note, I'll end by saying I'm really pleased with what the TV show has accomplished. I'm really proud of the team on all fronts that's worked on that, and I'm very hopeful for what the games will deliver. The game this year and the game next year in the future. So fingers crossed, man. I think it's looking very good.
All right, that's great to hear. One of my final or second to final question is there any hints you can give us on how big of a year it'll be for Sonic in 2016?
I got a magic 8-ball here just for this question.
Okay.
Okay, 1 second. Let me just shake all right. And then what's it say? Magic 8-ball says, wait and see. It's very mysterious. There's actually like 4 E's on there, so I tried to extend the C part of it for you.
All right. I honestly thought I was going to say stay tuned. It's got to be a moniker on there.
Stay tuned is good, but we use that all the time, so we'll mix it up a bit. I'll have a different phrase for you next time.
Alrighty.
we'll mix it up every time. I think it's gonna be a fun year. Man.
All right, and our final question with VR.
Okay, I'm ready.
With VR technology becoming the next big thing, and we have like the Oculus Rift and the PlayStation VR coming along soon. What kind of virtual reality Big the Cat game can we expect?
How did you know we're making a virtual reality Big the Cat game? Who told you?
I just had a sneaking suspicion.
No, there's no way you could have known about this. Who is your source? Is it Ken Ballow? Is he telling you these things? Ken Ballow? All right, well, let me tell you what I know, because apparently you know about the project. So here's what it's going to be. You know how when you play Sonic R in the first level, there's that Can You Feel the Sunshine song?
Right.
Does it brighten up your day, right? Okay, so that music is playing. All right? You are Big the Cat. Imagine yourself as Big the Cat. Your best friend Froggy has gone missing. You don't know where he is, but you are a bad enough dude to rescue Froggy, so you have got to go find him. And so the way this game works is it's set up on like a treadmill, and you put the VR headset on, and you actually have to walk on the treadmill to walk as Big. But in order to emulate Big's weight and his size, you actually have to walk about 20 feet to move 1 foot in game, because that's about the level of energy that you'd be exerting. So it's a really amazing game, both for weight loss and for people that want to stay fit. We expect that you're going to burn about 8,000 calories within about 30 minutes of gameplay. And the coolest component is that beyond being an exercise kind of game, as well as a fishing simulator, we're also adding in first-person shooter elements, and we're combining those with all of the depth of story that you would expect out of a Japanese dating sim mixed with an RPG. So by combining all of these genres into one, we're going to create a game that's never been made before. We're going to feature gaming's most popular character, Big the Cat. I mean, obviously, everyone knows that. And we're going to be reprising John St. John to do the voice work for him. It's the guy that did Duke Nukem, right? Most people don't know that. That's actually the voice actor for Big the Cat. Dead serious. So we're going to bring him back to do all the voice work. And it's going to be probably a 10 out of 10 game. We're predicting at least a couple Game of the Year awards, one from IGN, though they might criticize it for not enough water. And we're also expecting about an 8 out of 10 from GameSpot. And the ending of the game is really cool, but all I'll say is that you'll probably cry a little bit. And there's one moment when the lights go out and that music that I told you about earlier, the Can You Feel the Sunshine music, starts playing backwards, like in reverse. And then these two red eyes appear in front of you. And then like the Tails doll shows up. And I won't spoil the rest of it, but it's really cool. And we cannot wait to see what happens with it. And I've just told you everything. So you better appreciate, Jason, that I just gave you the total game design document for Big's big VR experience, The Hunt for Froggy.
Oh, yeah. And of course, telling everybody, the trade secrets can only be good for the company.
I mean, what could go wrong, right?
Right.
What's the worst that could happen? You listeners are awesome people. You wouldn't tell a soul, right? It's our little secret, right? Right. Okay, great.
Okay, thank you so much for that. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Oh, of course. Thank you very much for having me, and a big thanks to all the listeners out there, wherever you are listening from. Thanks for being part of the Sonic fan base, for continuing to stick by Sonic and believe in him as a character and as an icon. And of course, if you guys are tweeting out to us or saying hi to us on social media, thank you for that too. We appreciate all of it, and we hope that we'll continue to entertain you and have some really fun stuff for you in the future. Ooh, actually, Jason, can I give you one last little spoiler?
Sure.
Now, when is this podcast going live?
I should be putting it up within the week.
Okay, cool. So if it's up by Friday, we had a guest come by the office a little while back, and it's someone that the Sonic fans probably know, and I happened to get a picture with him holding a sign that's kind of amazing, and I'm going to post it on this Friday, on Twitter. So if this goes live before Friday, you can tell your guys to watch for it. And if not, go check out Twitter and see the picture of a certain someone who was involved in Sonic's original development, who came by our offices. And that's all I'll say.
Ah, very cool. Very cool. Thank you very much.
Of course. Well, and thank you guys very much, and take care, Jason. And big thanks again to all you listeners out there, and have a good one, guys, and take care.
All righty.